Raza, do you feel beholden to the Democratic Party to vote for them every couple of years, holding your breath, hoping, praying, and wishing, yet every couple of years you're continually down? Or perhaps you're leaning to the conservative side. Some of your values and principles lean towards that way, but I weigh the Republican Party between their just insane immigration stances to their antiquated stereotypes just rubs you the wrong way? Well, guess what, mi gente? You're politically homeless. Paulie here on the Latino slant. Before we get going, before we get to this great article, I want you to take a moment and check out this very svelte t-shirt on me. Defund the Thought Police. That's right, exclusive here on the Latino Slant Stream Elements merchandise page. The link will be here and in the video box description. Listen, as you're thinking for yourself, you might as well look good, mi gente. Try one shirt on. I love the quality. We're going to get a little political. We are going to get a little political, and the slant does not do that always. But I felt that this op-ed that was done by Sarlos Cantana on the Daily Chela impelled me to do this video, because we don't just do Firme Jaina reactions. We do some other stuff. So let's get into this. From the Daily Chela, stop letting politicians take your vote for granted. What are you talking about, Sarlos? It's absurd for the Democratic Party to assume that because we're brown that we should automatically vote for them. Orale. Brown folk, you feel like that? Do you feel because you're brown, because of your skin color, that out of the two, fuck it, I'm gonna vote for blue? Once upon a time in Aztlán, La Raza created an independent political party in response to the failure of the two-party system to address Raza issues. This occurred during the turbulent 1970s and is now considered hidden history because it's not something that is taught in schools. I can vouch for that. Unfortunately, that Chicano history has all been erased from certain books being banned to just not being part of American history books. That's a no-no here at the Slant. It might surprise some younger gente to know that once upon a time, Chicanos had enough bravado and organization to not only form an independent political party across several states, but to have it laser focused on Chicano nationalism. In January of 1970, La Raza Unida party was formed, largely in an effort to combat growing inequality and dissatisfaction, with the Democratic Party. Imagine that. A bunch of brown folks so just disconnected, fed up entirely with the Democratic Party to form their own party here in the United States during the 70s. The establishment at the time collectively panicked in response, and things haven't been the same since. This kind of scenario is inconceivable today to today's modern and fickle Wokoso. Oh, Fickle Wokoso. I mean, they would never imagine thinking out of the box, thinking for themselves, if not the thought police, whether you're on the Wokoso left or the local right, for yourself. What could be that third alternative? What could be other alternatives? It's interesting to note the similarities in political climate from then to now. Whereas 70s Chicanos felt that the two-party system was a failure in terms of serving the Raza community, and yet here we are in the same boat today. Sadly, La Raza Unida party lasted less than a decade before fizzling out, and has been nearly a half a century since Chicanos even tried to break free from the two-party plantation. It would take an act of God to unite Latinos in this era under a separate political banner, but it might be possible. If only we could put aside our differences in the larger diaspora to simply put the two-party system on notice. It's long overdue for Latinos to give the two-party system a wake-up call and stop allowing any political party to take your vote for granted. Well, I can say this. There's very few issues, right, where we can galvanize behind something. Really, I'll just take into the recent cultural war issue of Latinx, where there was a galvanization, over 90% to 95% of Latinos emphatically said no to that label as being a catch-all for its people. To where, and I'm not making this up, guys, to where even politicians on the right and left took notice and made some changes. Whether you liked it or not, it happened. It happened in different states. It happened with Democratic leaders, Republican leaders, where they were like, we're not going to use that word anymore. That is something to take note of. That is something to take note of. What else? Give me a comment right now. What else you think would be a galvanizing issue that both parties just don't get, but that if we could get behind, what would both parties pay heed to in the way that we kind of said no to the Latinx catch-all phrase? A person's vote should be consistently earned, and if a party doesn't put in the work, then they shouldn't get the vote. It's absurd for the Democratic Party to assume that because we're brown, that we should automatically vote for them. As we enter another voting season, where will we be told yet again that the stakes, where we will be told yet again that the stakes are higher than ever, and that is the most important election of our lifetime. The need to pump the brakes is even more relevant than ever. The attitude of vote blue, no matter who, is not only outdated, it's asinine and gives the Democratic Party unearned leverage over Latinos. Absolutely 100%. That is slant approved here. Sarlos, Cantana, the Daily Chela. You got to earn the vote, guys. You can't just assume that all brown people are, whatever you want to call it, La Raza, Latinos, U.S. Latinos are going to vote blue because here's the reality, guys. They're leaving the blue. They're leaving the Democratic Party. Not maybe in the big droves that the media drives it such as, but the numbers showing they're slightly leaving, and there's always been that hardcore conservative right in the Latino communities, centered around family, centered around multiple generations. So, again, I would love your comments on this. I think this is a great op-ed. And because I already know that this message will be misconstrued, let me be clear. I am not telling you to vote Republican. In fact, I'm not telling you to vote for anyone. And let me back that up and don't misconstrue. Don't get it twisted. My words, mi gente. I'm not telling you who to vote for. I personally cannot stand both parties. I cannot stand the political system the way it's set up right now. It is literally driving us insane and apart. It has divided us into hate groups that are just hating each other, our brothers and sisters, and I have had it. I've had it so much, I'm thinking of starting another channel on Rumble just so I can really let you know how I feel. What I am telling you is that if you do partake in this process, one of which I myself am convinced that is a never-ending choice between a giant douche and a turd sandwich, that you should make your party of choice earn your vote. Stop allowing the people to take it for granted. In my lifetime, Sarlos goes on to say, I've watched political party affiliation become like a gang affiliation. Modern day political parties operate like street gangs, with their members responding in kind, flying their colors, riding and dying for their said, taking out rivals on sight. It's as every bit as absurd as it sounds, but that's the reality. Now, thanks to the propaganda online, what did I just tell you? There is no discord. There is no conversation anymore between opposing parties, opposing views. People have different views. What is it? It is that. It is gang style. I will take your ass out if you disagree with me, and I will take your family out. It's getting nasty, guys. Very nasty. It has been. The notion that you are supposed to vote a certain way because of the color of your skin is ridiculous and fundamentally racist, but few question it because they are shamed into doing so. Case in point, in 2020, sitting President Joe Biden said during an interview on The Breakfast Club, quote here, well, I'll tell you what, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're in for me or for Trump, then you ain't black. Biden later apologized for his remarks and said that he, in fact, doesn't take the black vote for granted, but no one with a brain really believes that. They do take it for granted. The Democratic Party takes both the black and Latino vote for granted and have done so unchallenged for decades. They feel entitled to the Raza vote because we don't challenge them. They don't lose sleep over worrying if Latinos will vote for them because it's a given. They know that Latinos will vote for them no matter how badly they run their campaigns or what promises they break, because we are too weak and unorganized to make them think any differently. This needs to stop. Democrats, you should be terrified that they can no longer take the black or Latino vote for granted. Republicans should be worried that they will never get the black or Latino vote. And when I think what Sarlos meant by never get the cultural nuances of the African American, of the U.S. Latino, just as far as what issues are important, how these people operate in the United States, how it's different, and then ultimately how it's similar and just very American. They don't get it. When I say they, we're talking about the Republican Party here. Politicians should be petrified of our base, not the other way around. They should be afraid to pander or to mock us. They should be walking on eggshells every single election and working to produce real results. And they should be afraid of the backlash if they step out of line. Politicians should know and understand that we are a force to be reckoned with. Not just a token, roll over and take it demographic that they can pander to when they feel like it, insult when they feel like it, and take for granted at will. It's long past time that La Raza take note from our elders and start making these chumps earn their votes, or else, Raza, you can take this, transfer it over to Hollywood, and it's the same thing. It's the same way that we are treated, that we are shown, portrayed, and ultimately disrespected with no dignity, no care, because hey, we'll throw you some table scraps and you're gonna be happy with it, little brown person, little black person, because that's the way it is. Well, you know what they say, ya basta. Tell me, are you politically homeless? Tell me, what do you think about what we're saying here in this article, what Sarlos is talking about? Do you feel nudged either way? Give me your comments wherever you're at. Keep your slant. Muy fuerte. I wait. Brown and I'm brown, soy